This is Crypto Basics by Kryptonites. Kryptonites is a team of young crypto enthusiasts who envision bridging the crypto divide so that everyone may be a part of this big change. Crypto Basics is a podcast series with the founder of Kryptonites, Dr. Kant Miriala, who is also a crypto guru, and I am Divya Swami, your host.
Hi, Divya. What's your next question?
Hi, Dr. Kant. So, what
Hi.
our listeners want to know today is that, well, there's always been this fear of the Bitcoin bubble bursting, like how the dot-com bubble did after a certain point. So now the prices have also been dropping of Bitcoin. Today, Bitcoin stands at $7,699 US dollars. So, why do you think these prices have been dropping so drastically? And what kind of implications does it have to people who own Bitcoins and who invested quite a bit of their money into Bitcoins?
Okay. So it's funny when people do this. It's more public than ever before because Bitcoin, after it moved from $500 to over a year and a half to $20,000. Every news media started, and everybody in the world got to know. So literally, it was in the last 18 months that everybody in the world got to know about the word Bitcoin. And then they suddenly think that this is one of the bubble bursting crashes, etc., etc. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I'm tired of speculating that because nobody knows. Is this a correction? It certainly is. And is it normal? Well, let's look at that. Let me just share my screen. I have opened up a couple of screens for this question. All right, let me share the screen.
What I'd like to add here is that every time we've made speculations, the Bitcoin prices have been at its all-time high, and today it's the lowest it's been in the past 3 months at least. So
yeah, very happy about that, but that's a different story. Okay, so this is Bitcoin prices. Today's Bitcoin price is 7,685. Let's actually click on and let's look at it, right? So if we look at this, we'll see that, okay, Bitcoin was at a 380 whatever, right? December 2015. Yeah, and summer of, this is 2016 is when I was going crazy telling everybody that I meant to buy Bitcoin between $500 and $700. Till my relatives stopped meeting me because they were sick and tired of my Bitcoin rants. I'm just joking. They're nice people. And then it just kept going all the way here till it hit $19,000, $20,000. And now they say it's in a free fall, right? So it's about a third of the price. So let's look at, there's this, I think, Forbes article of illustrated history of Bitcoin crashes. And so if you look at peak price was 32, price decline was 68%. So let's take 70%. What is 70% decline on $20,000? 70% of 20,000 is 14,000. So 20,000 minus 14,000 is equal to $6,000. So this kind of a percentage decline has happened before, Divya. It's not the first time. And here it's a price decline of 36%. Here is a price decline of 51%. Here is a price decline of 33%. And again, another 60%. So on 20,000, a 60% decline would still be 12,000. It would be down to around current levels of 8,000. So in other words, even if it crashed to 6,000, it has precedent. It has happened before. It's not the first time.
So is this a cyclical thing where it would rise and drop and then rise again?
And that depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to the doomsday predictors, they'll say that Bitcoin is over. You're dead. They're gone. It's finished. And they'll give a lot of logical reasons for that. And then there are Bitcoin supporters that say, oh my God, crazy people like me that say, oh my God, it's the best sale of the day of the year. Buy it now. Or just wait for a few more days till. So if you look at it technically, right, you're looking at 6,100. So I see a support somewhere in that range, right? You can see that here on my screen. you see a support at this. So the line of support is somewhere here around 5,000, right? You can see it. And then the next line of support will be here at 2,300 or so. So, and then there is some support here at 3,200. But my gut feeling says that it will probably not go below 6,000, which is why I talk about that 70% dip. $20,000, 70% is 14,000 down to 6,000. So my suspicion, again, I could be wrong. It could go all the way till here, which is really a $3,500 level. So somewhere between it could either go down to 3,500 or pause at 6,000. That's my guess. Of course, the doomsday predictors say that it'll go all the way back to the 25-cent Bitcoin to buy pizza type of a scenario, and it'll die out. So all the banks would rejoice, all the governments would rejoice. Incumbents, right? They are the ones that are being attacked by Bitcoin anyway. So again, in one sense, nobody is right, because it could be a random event. Nobody knows what will happen. Nobody can predict the future. But in my opinion, what is likely is obviously people who made money are selling off. You can imagine how many people invested in this long run, right? And if you had invested at $100, $200, $500, $600, $700, and it was at 20,000 and you did not sell it, it's now at 8,000. More than likely you will sell it and say, hey, I don't want to lose money. I invested at 500. It doesn't make sense. I'll buy back. At least that's been my strategy. I sold off at some point, and I'm just waiting for it to come down to a point where I can buy back into it, right? Again, some others are hearing my strategy and saying, terrible strategy. I said, fine, whatever is your fancy, right? You can do that. But at the end of the day, to me, this is a correction, and I think it's normal. And I think it's a great opportunity for people who are bullish about Bitcoins to buy and hold for the long run, because I believe it'll surpass the 20,000 that it was at. But then the disclaimer is that, what do I know? I could be wrong, and you could lose all your money. Just don't complain to me, because this is not financial advice.
But Dr. Kant, how do we trust a currency that is so unstable? Okay, it could be correcting itself. It could be a way of stabilizing the prices and all of that. But how do we, in the long run, trust a currency that's so unstable, that's so volatile in itself?
That's an interesting question that I get. So there's a long period, X number of years of price discovery. Okay. What is Bitcoin really worth? Nobody knows. It's still in the process of price discovery. That happened for gold, except that we were all born after the gold price discovery happened for over 2,000-3,000 years. Many people don't realize that in the last 100+ years, gold price has maximum fluctuated between X and 3X or something like that. If you do inflation adjustment, gold price is really not, it's so big. That means price was discovered and more or less stayed at the same level, adjusted for inflation. That means we know the price of gold, more or less, and the world knows about it, and it's not going to keep rising anymore, right? So for Bitcoin, that price discovery might take 10 years, 100 years, 50 years. Nobody knows how long it's going to take before it stabilizes. So right now, how can you trust a volatile thing like Bitcoin as a currency? No, you cannot. So nobody's using it as a currency. Everybody's using it as a store of value. So the second thing is, okay, what if it stabilizes? Where will it stabilize? Okay, more than likely, let's say it stabilizes at 100,000 or 200,000 or maybe a million. And then on a daily basis, it goes up and down by $1,000. You won't even feel it, right? That's like you're sitting on the earth and it is rotating, but you don't feel it. At quite a speed, actually. You and I are moving at an incredible speed through the space, but we don't feel it. So it's relative motion. It's the same thing. When Bitcoin is worth $100,000, it went up and down by $1,000. The variation is like 1%, right? So when you're buying bread for $1 or $2, the variation is 1 or 2 cents. It's so small, nobody will care about it. So when it goes up to certain levels, the variation, even though it's still volatile and fluctuating, so at $1 million, it's $1 million Bitcoin, and it's now fluctuating at the rate of $10,000 a day. It still doesn't matter. It's a 1% variation per day. Heck, you could go and buy a car for $20,000, and the variation is a couple of $100 plus or minus. Nobody cares. And that too, if you're living in a Bitcoin dominated economy, which may or may not ever happen, then it's like you're sitting on the earth. So you're not going to feel any motion, right? So all that I'm saying is there are two factors that are likely to happen. At least one factor is likely to happen is Bitcoin will stabilize after the price discovery process. When? Nobody knows. 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. And then when it becomes either very stable, it stays at $1,000 more or less stable every day, or it goes to $1 million and fluctuates, but not enough. We are all quite happy about using that for bread and butter and milk and eggs and all of that, right? Because the variability is so low. So that is my feeling around. So there's a price discovery process, and there's a price stabilization and percentage variation. And then there is this whole relative velocity thing, which is if now we have to really go far out and say, imagine the world is dominated by Bitcoins and Bitcoin becomes a universal global currency, which I doubt seriously. But if it does, then it's like sitting on the earth. You will see all the other stars and the moon and everything else moving, but you won't feel your own motion. So if you're sitting on this magic carpet called Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin is moving, you won't feel the volatility. You will say, oh my God, look at how much dollars are varying. Oh my God, look at how much Ether is varying. Oh my God, you look at how much. You're finding it funny, but it's relative velocity. That's what you're going to say. Oh my, I cannot put it in this US dollar. It keeps varying so much every day. So that's because you took Bitcoin as a standard and made everything else vary around it. It's the center of universe concept. Now we know the sun is the center of the universe, right? There was a point where they thought it was geocentric. Earth was, and it was not heliocentric. So we thought Earth was the center of the universe and everything rotated around the Earth, and we knew none the better. So anyway, those are my theories. I hope that at least shed some light.
Yes, I think those were great analogies, Dr. Khan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. One.
Thank you for listening. If you like our podcasts, please do subscribe to us, like us, and share us. If you have any comments, leave them below in the comment section. And don't forget to rate us on the different portals that we host ourselves. It would help us grow and bring new content to you.
Awesome. Thank you, listeners. Like she said, rate us, ask us questions, and share us. Thank you very much.